Today we are going to study about physical and chemical change. In chemistry, all types of changes can broadly be classified into physical and chemical change. Today, students, we will study about the characteristic of physical and chemical changes with examples. Now, with the physical change, a physical change is a change in which no new substance is formed. The substance may change in shape, size, physical state, and appearance, but not in its chemical composition. Physical change may be temporary, and most of the physical change are reversible, but few are irreversible. So, with the help of examples, today we'll study about the physical change. Here, the interconversion of state of matter is a physical change. I have taken an example of water. As you can see in the slide, you might have observed that ice, when taken out of a refrigerator, melts and changes into water, and when put back in the refrigerator, it freezes into ice again. During melting or freezing of water, no new substance is formed. Only the state of water changes. Similarly, on boiling, the water changes into steam. On cooling, the steam again changes back into the water. So again, there is only a change in the state of water and no new change in the chemical composition of the water occurs. On removing the causes of the change of the substance, return to its original state. Thus, here the physical change is reversible or a temporary change. Now we'll take another example of melting of an ice cream. We take out the ice cream from the refrigerator and put it at room temperature. It starts melting and changes into a liquid form. When we'll put it back in the refrigerator, it will be converted into a solid ice cream. During melting or freezing of the ice cream, no new substance is formed. Only the state has been changed from liquid to solid and solid to liquid. Now we are taking another example of cutting of paper into pieces. And here it is a irreversible physical change. So take a piece of a paper and cut it into pieces. What do you observe? The shape and the size of the paper change. Although the chemical composition of each piece of a paper is similar to that of the original paper. Even then, you cannot join all the pieces back to make the original paper without cut marks. Thus, cutting of paper is an irreversible physical change. Now, we'll take another example of cutting of a pencil into a pieces is another example of irreversible physical change. You can take a pencil and cut it into two pieces, as you can see here. And although the chemical composition of each piece of a pencil is similar to the original pencil, and here the chemical composition of each pencil is similar to the original pencil. Now, here are a few examples of physical changes. As you can see in this slide, the boiling of water, the drying of the clothes, the melting of an ice cream, beating of the metal, glowing of the bulb, and cutting of the fruits. So, all these are the few examples of physical change. Now we'll study about the chemical change. A chemical change is a permanent change in which a new substance are formed. A new substance shows composition and properties which are completely different from those of the original substance. Here in the chemical change, the change is permanent and irreversible. One or more new substances are formed, and there is an exchange of energy during the chemical change. This means the heat or the light or both might be given out or consumed. So, with the help of example, we'll study about the chemical change. Now, the first example is baking a cake. To bake a cake, take a pan and you have to put a flour, sugar, baking powder, egg and butter and mix them well and heat it in the oven. On prolonged heating, it turns into a cake and some gases produced like carbon dioxide and water vapor. You cannot get back the flour, the eggs, the sugar, the baking powder, or the butter by any physical method. Thus, baking of a cake is an irreversible and a permanent change, and this is a chemical change which is accompanied by change in color and evolution of gases. Now, the next is the rusting of an iron. As you can see that here in the slide, the iron wires are there. So, take this iron wire and bring it near a magnet. The magnet attracts the iron wire. Now, leave this iron wire in a moist place for a few days. You will notice that the iron wire develops a reddish brown coating all over it. This coating is called rust. Rust is a hydrated oxide of iron and a new substance is being formed. It forms due to the reaction of iron with oxygen dissolved in water. Again, bring this iron wire near the magnet. But now the magnet does not attract the iron wire towards itself. This shows the rusting has taken place, and a rust is a new substance that is non-magnetic. You cannot get back the iron from rust, and this rusting of iron is an irreversible and a permanent chemical change. Now, there are few examples of chemical change. For example, the ripening of the fruit. As you can see here, the fruit has been ripened and there is a change in the color. And the second example is curdling of milk. The milk is in the liquid form, and when it forms the curd, it changes into a solid form, and it is irreversible and a permanent chemical change, and you cannot get the milk again. Now, burning of a candle is a physical or a chemical change. Now we'll study whether it is a physical or a chemical change. The burning of a candle is an example of simultaneous physical and chemical change. In a candle, you take a candle and when you lit a candle, the wax melts and turn into a liquid state. As the molten wax drops on the floor or a table, it solidifies again. Therefore, it is a physical change. Simultaneously, some of the molten wax rise up the wick, turns into vapor and burns with the flame to form two new substances, that is carbon dioxide and water vapor. The amount of wax that get burned escapes in the form of gases and the candle becomes smaller and smaller. This is a chemical change. Thus, the melting of a wax is a physical change and the burning of the wax is a chemical change. Now, students, I hope with these examples you must have understood about the physical and the chemical changes.